If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as follow me and subscribe to me on all my other social media platforms. What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with another album review for you guys. Today I'm talking about the sophomore effort from Denver-based death metal act Astral Tomb with Total Spiritual Death. So this is an independent release from this upcoming death metal band out of Denver that formed back in 2018, and like I said, second album overall, and well, the best way to kind of describe this band, especially for those first-time listeners like myself, when I was looking at this band's Metal Archives page and looking at, okay, what bands would they be similar to? And they were compared to some pretty damn good ones, like Blood Incantation, Time Ghoul, Demolich, bands along those lines, like that more like almost avant-garde side of tech death, or even Gorguts I saw they were compared to a little bit as well. So I was thinking, I'm about to be in for some trippy, cosmic, over-the-top death metal. And for the most part, that's pretty much what I got here. This album's only almost 38 minutes, so it's kind of a bit of a breeze, well, apart from one song, which I'll get to. But yeah, we start off with Milan, which is mostly like an intro track. It's got this like cosmic ambience and like atmospheric percussion and clean guitars. Very trippy, but it does get heavy towards the end, but I do feel it was kind of a needless intro track. But then it goes into the actual opening track, in my opinion, Cathedral, which is just 2.5 minutes of batshit insanity. Like, it starts off more on the doom side, like it's slow with the riff, while the drums are going, while the drums are going wild. After all, I would say the best part about this album is the drum work. Like, the drum work on this album is flying in all ways, shapes, colors, forms, whatever the saying is. But on this track, you get some, like, combination of, like, Cynic and Mastodon vibes. And trust me, that won't be the first time you hear me say Mastodon during this review. But it almost felt like they were trying to incorporate a little bit of, like, the jazzy flair of Cynic with, like, the dissonant sludginess of Mastodon. Mash it together as it's very atonal, and the drums are just flying, of course. And it does get technical and blasty towards the end of the track. Then you move into All Black Vet, which this, as well as the closing track, Eyes Wide Shut, introduced some odd female vocals that just, in my opinion, didn't really quite fit the tone of this album. At least just from my personal opinion. But All Black Vet, as well as even another track, Soul Gaze, both also start off with like more like cosmic ambience, so to speak. But back to All Black Vet, you do get this like strange melody that comes in, followed by the female vocals, but you do get more Mastodon vibes within the guitar work. Trust me when I say, I feel like they were maybe kind of dick-riding Mastodon when it came to some of the dissonance and the atonal riffs on here, which not that it's a bad thing, because Mastodon's a hell of a band, and who better to learn about atonal dissonance than a band like Mastodon, or even another band that I get some vibes here and there of, and that's Immolation. Like, this track, All Black Vet, yeah, you get some Mastodon vibes, but you also get some, like, Immolation-inspired riffs and rhythms that come in toward the middle. And then, of course, there's this one technical riff and blast section that immediately made me think of Time Ghoul, so there's that Time Ghoul comparison. The song Coward has some more, like, machine gun riffing and blast beats to open things up, to get started on a more aggressive note as opposed to like building stuff up. Then you get another cool clean melody, then you get back to like some slightly more sludgy riffs and some pinch harmonics. And then this, as well as the song Funeral of Self, are really the only tracks where you get like a solo, like a guitar solo really there. Soul Gaze, like I said, this one was basically an interlude, just mostly cosmic ambience with some soothing, clean guitars and drums towards the end of the track. But now we get to Funeral of Self, which was nearly 14 minutes. This was the big, long epic of the album. Eerie, dissonant guitars and blast beats right away. Chunky, chugging guitars like a big death metal chug. Then you get into a section where they get very trippy and tribal, like lots of tribal drums, and it's very atmospheric, but I feel like it does drag a little bit, but it does lead very well into an awesome drum solo. Dissonant technicality comes in once more, wild lead, and then you end off this track with a clean melody that starts off sounding similar to Mastodon, and then it finishes off by sounding more Immolation inspired. So it was like a kind of like a nice combination of the two. And then Eyes Wide Shut, like I said, eerie clean melody with more of those odd female vocals, but more Mastodon inspired drums and dissonant atonal riffs. But then the song just kind of quits. Like in the middle, it just turns silent, and then it comes back with a random dissonant melody at the end. So yeah, now we talk about the complaints I had about this album. I feel like, especially in Funeral of Self with that tribal atmospheric section, it kind of dragged on a little bit too long. I think if they cut that section down by like a minute or so, I think it would have helped benefit the flow of the song a little bit more. And of course, Eyes Wide Shut, yeah, like it just quit randomly, and then it just comes back out of nowhere with a dissonant melody. It's like, you couldn't have come up with ideas in that middle section where there was nothing going on, and it could have led up perfectly to this end point. And then, some ideas they were trying to go for, it's like, I totally respect what they were trying to go for here. Kind of like sounding similar to recent bands like Blood Incantation, or even older bands like a Time Ghoul, or a Gorguts, or a Mastodon. Trying to take some of their influences and kind of put it together into a melting pot. But sometimes a lot of these parts can sound pretty derivative, and when they're getting onto those influences, when they're about to cross that line of sounding like a copycat, they're just rubbing right on that line a little bit. And then, of course, probably my biggest complaint, the production and the mix was not the greatest. Like, song to song, the production and the mix almost changes. Like every single song, like sometimes guitars will be more up front, sometimes the drums end up becoming more prominent. And like even the tones, like the guitar tone I was not the biggest fan of, and the drum tones were pretty thin, I would say. So I think if they would have gotten the production and the mix better, as well as kind of explored different ideas, I think it would have made this album a lot better in my mind. But then again, this is a new, young band, like, a couple of the members are teenagers, so they're still trying to get their footing. So I give them credit, they are trying their best. But for me, as a first-time listener, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. It's a decent album in terms of the influences they're going for, and it's mostly moments within the songs that I liked, not so much the actual songs. Like, apart from, I would say Funeral of Self would probably be the one standout, not just because it's the longest track, but there was some more cool ideas going on, even if certain parts were going on for a little bit too long. But it's mostly moments within the songs, like the little clean melodies or the little dissonant riffs that you get here and there that I got into. It's just, yeah, they definitely do need to get their footing down, and I think they can. After all, with the influences they're pulling from, I'm certain they can come up with a better junior album or a third album whenever that happens. But of course, this is all just my opinion. What did you guys think of Astral Tomb's Total Spiritual Death? Let me know in the comments below, and until next time, keep your horns high and your dreams wet.